Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Scale Modeling with Mike Ashey. Today we're going to do a detailed review of the brand new Verifier Blue Ridge models 1 to 350th scale USS Cleveland. I've done a preliminary review of the parts and I got to tell you, I think this one's a winner. When you open up the box, the first thing you're going to see is the two-piece hull. And there's beautiful rendering on the surface of this hull. Underneath that is a small photoetch sheet. One of the things I noticed was there's no stand for this kit. So I recommend you get some brass finials, and after you put the hull together, mount the hull onto the brass finials and then mount it onto a wood base so that you can work on it. The kit also comes with a color rendering, very nicely done, and a 20-page instruction book with beautiful 3D images on it. Very well done. They really outdid themselves this time. The deck is a two-piece deck with beautiful wood rendering, and the splinter shields are separate, so it's going to be much easier to airbrush the decking. The aircraft are gray plastic, not the clear plastic, but there's a lot of parts to them, so you got to be very, very patient on how you put them together. The 01 level is just one piece, and there's beautiful rendering on the superstructure sides. The kit also comes with a decal sheet and black anchor chain. Nice touch. There's lots and lots of sprue trees on here with all kinds of parts. There's a lot of redundancy, so you're going to have a lot of spare parts when you're done. One of the things I noticed for this kit, when I compared it to their USS Salem kit, here's some common trees. These two sets of trees are also in the Salem kit. So again, you're going to have a lot of spares when you're done. The superstructure parts are left and right halves, and the surface detail on the superstructure sides is beautifully done. One note here, all the trees are in plastic bags and they're stapled together. So I highly recommend you remove the staples first before you take all of these trees out of the bag. Otherwise you stand a good chance of snagging a part and breaking it on one of these clips. The other thing I noticed was that the attachments between the parts and the trees are very, very small. So they used a lot of high pressure injection in order to do that. But I got to tell you, snipping them off will be a snap, and there's very, very little surface damage to any of these parts. So what we'll do is we're going to do close-ups of the parts, and since there's detail on both sides, I'm going to do a top side and then a bottom side photography, and then we're going to do a tape-up of it, and I'm going to show you how this kit goes together. My suspicion is this kit's a winner, so stay tuned.
The plastic on the two-piece hull is thick, so flexing is not a problem. And the side keels are nicely done, and the hull plating is very petite. There is nice inlet and discharge vent detail on the hull bottom. And the black lines are the slide molding raised edges that will need to be carefully sanded off. The forward deck section has petite wood decking detail. And the forward deck has nicely executed surface detail and no anchor chains to scrape off. Nice touch, Verifier. The aft deck section also has nice wood decking detail. And the plating on the aft deck area is a bit heavy, but once it's painted, it'll tone down. The 01 level has some anti-skid deck detail on the deck surface as well as nice wood deck detail. The superstructure sides on the 01 level have excellent surface detail. The hatch and porthole detail is also very nicely executed. This is sprue D, and there's 4 of them. You won't be using all the parts, so you're going to have some spares. And here's a close-up of the main turret, a Mark 37 radar base, and a rangefinder. The surface detail is nicely done, and the blast bags on the main turret barrels look really good. Here is sprue E, and some of these deck parts are for a yet-to-be-issued square bridge Cleveland class cruiser kit. The superstructure side detail is also very crisp. And here's the underside of sprue E. The underside framing detail is petite and very well pronounced. This is sprue F, and there are 3 of these in the kit. This sprue is also common to the Salem kit, and the aircraft cranes are for that kit. Note the multiple-piece 5" 38 turrets. This is sprue G. Note that all the splinter shields are separate, which is going to make deck painting easier. And here's the underside of sprue G. This is sprue J, and there's 3 of them. To improve the appearance of your finished model, I recommend replacing the 5" 38 turrets, the 40mm quad mounts, and the 20mm guns with Black Cat Models 3D printed parts. And here is the underside of sprue J. Here's sprue L. The catapults have nice framing detail, but they're too wide once they're assembled. And here is the underside of sprue L. Here's sprue N. All the exterior piping detail is for the smokestacks, and they are petite and very nicely done. Here is sprue Z, and there are 2 of them. The instructions call for using the catapults on sprue L. However, the ones on this sprue are more petite. The aircraft cranes and the radars will need to be replaced with photoetch versions. And here is the underside of sprue Z. Here is sprue PE/PF, and there are 6 of these. And here's the underside of sprue PE and PF. Sprue PG has the aircraft, and there are 2 of them. The fuselages have multiple pieces, so you will need to be very careful when gluing and fixing the seams. The small photoetch sheet has the railings for the superstructure decks, but not the main deck. Here are some sheets from the 20-page instruction book. The positioning holes for the splinter shields have to be drilled out, and the locations of the superstructure railings are very well illustrated. The superstructure 3-dimensional assembly drawings are very well done. And even the completed kit drawings are well illustrated and dimensionally correct. The color sheet depicts the Cleveland in her Measure 22 paint scheme. I found that mixing Testors dark sea blue with their intermediate blue provides a great navy blue color, and adding more intermediate blue gives you a great deck blue color. Then give both mixed paint colors a coat of Testors clear dull coat. And now for the tape-up. The overall dimensions of the hull and the superstructure are spot on, and the superstructure is a Cleveland round bridge. The superstructure will have a very busy appearance once all the secondary guns are added. And note how well the side keels are molded onto the hull. The main deck fits tightly to the hull, and it is thick enough so there won't be any flexing. And the O1 level sits perfectly on the main deck. The kit has no stand, so I used a spare from a trumpeter kit. The hull's appearance is very clean, and the armor protection on the hull is well pronounced. Note the petite hull plating surface detail. Moving in towards the forward superstructure, you can see how well all the parts line up. The seam work is minimal for all the sub-assemblies, and they all fit tightly together. The 5" 38 turrets have 5 pieces, and I recommend you replace them with Black Cat Models 3D printed parts. The mast and the yard arms will also need to be replaced with stiff brass rods so you can add rigging. There are photoetch framing parts for the 40mm overhang platforms. The smokestacks fit tightly together, and the associated platforms fit snugly against the stack sides. The main deck connection upper edges have a slight round shape, and the seam will need to be filled with superglue and carefully sanded smooth. The wood scribing can then be fixed. The seam line is so small that once the main deck railings are installed, it will be hard to see the seam if you choose not to rescribe the deck detail. The aft superstructure parts go together tightly, just like the forward assembly. The lower aft superstructure has no alignment pins, so you'll need to tape it together and then apply a bead of superglue along the seam line. The main turrets are very well done, and the back sides of the turrets have a separate piece. The barrels fit nicely into the openings on the turret faces, and the barrel tips are indented. Nice touch, Verifier. The main deck just needs to be pulled tight against the hull when gluing to eliminate that noticeable void. The aircraft catapults and the aircraft cranes will need to be replaced with photoetch parts. Tom's Model Works has a nice cruiser photoetch set that has all the parts you'll need. This kit is a real winner out of the box, and with the addition of photoetch and 3D printed parts, you can turn this kit into a museum masterpiece.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the tape-up review of the Verifier Blue Ridge Models 1 to 350th scale USS Cleveland. As you saw from the close-ups, it's a pretty good kit. All the parts fit together very well, and the plastic has got a lot of surface detail. So with that, have a great evening, be safe, don't forget to visit us at www.mikeashey.com, and happy scale modeling.